November 12, 1942. The scorching sun beats down on the North African desert. A group of German mechanics gathers around a captured American vehicle. It's rugged, boxy, and looks almost crude compared to their own engineering. But as they begin to take it apart, a sense of astonishment, even admiration, starts to grow. What they were looking at was a captured Willys MB, better known as the Jeep, and it was about to teach them a powerful lesson about the art of war. This single vehicle embodied a philosophy that would ultimately help turn the tide of World War II. It wasn't about perfection. It was about overwhelming presence. The Germans, masters of precision engineering, found themselves facing a machine that was, by their standards, shockingly simple, but its simplicity was its genius. Let's dive into what made the Jeep so revolutionary. The core of its design was built around four key principles: easy maintenance, reliability, simplicity, and mass production. Imagine being a soldier, hundreds of miles from a proper workshop. You don't need a finely tuned machine that requires a specialist. You need something you can fix with a basic toolkit, maybe even a rock and some grit. That was the Jeep. The engine, a modest but tough inline-4, was designed for dependability. The parts were standardized and interchangeable. If a part broke, you could often just scavenge one from another damaged Jeep and get back on the road. This concept of interchangeability was a cornerstone of American manufacturing might, and the Jeep was its poster child. Now, let's compare this to its German counterpart, the Kübelwagen. On the surface, they served a similar purpose, but their philosophies were worlds apart. The Kübelwagen was a clever piece of German engineering, lightweight and based on the Volkswagen Beetle chassis. It was efficient and well-suited for the relatively good road networks of Europe. But it had a critical weakness. It was rear-wheel drive. In the mud of the Eastern Front or the soft sands of North Africa, that was a major problem. The Jeep, on the other hand, came standard with selectable four-wheel drive. Paired with its heavy, durable ladder frame chassis, it was a beast. This wasn't a car designed to be elegant. It was designed to be abused. Soldiers would overload it, drive it through rivers, drop it from planes, and it would just keep going. The chassis was so strong you could practically stand on the hood without leaving a dent. The Kübelwagen was lighter, yes, but its body was more fragile. It was a well-crafted machine for a specific set of conditions. The Jeep was a blunt instrument, designed for any and every condition imaginable. It wasn't about being the best in one area. It was about being good enough everywhere. But the real game-changer wasn't just the vehicle's design. It was how it was made. This is where the sheer industrial power of the United States truly came into play. The Jeep was designed from the ground up for mass production. The engine block was cast iron, a simple and fast process. The body was made of flat stamped steel panels that could be welded together quickly by semi-skilled workers. This simplicity meant that production wasn't limited to traditional car companies like Willys Overland and Ford. Factories that used to make refrigerators or farm equipment could be rapidly retooled to churn out Jeep components. The American arsenal wasn't just a collection of weapons. It was a gigantic integrated manufacturing system, and the Jeep was one of its most successful products. The numbers tell the story. Throughout the war, the United States produced over 640,000 Jeeps. Think about that number. That's more than one Jeep for every 10 American soldiers who served overseas. They were everywhere, on every front, serving as troop carriers, ambulances, command cars, and machine gun platforms. Now let's look at Germany's numbers for the Kübelwagen. This contrast highlights the two opposing industrial philosophies of the war. Germany's approach was one of refinement and specialization. They built some of the most advanced and feared weapons of the war, like the Tiger tank. But these machines were complex, resource-intensive, and difficult to produce and maintain. America's philosophy, perfectly encapsulated by the Jeep, was different. It emphasized speed, interchangeability, and the concept of good enough. Why spend twice the time building a perfect vehicle when you can build 5 very good ones in its place? The Jeep wasn't designed to be the best light vehicle in the world. It was designed to be the light vehicle that was their asterisk on the battlefield, in numbers so vast they became a strategic asset in their own right. General George C. Marshall, the U.S. Army Chief of Staff, called the Jeep America's greatest contribution to modern warfare. War correspondent Ernie Pyle famously wrote that the Jeep did everything, went everywhere. He said, "Good Lord, I don't think we could continue the war without the Jeep. It wasn't elegant, it wasn't comfortable, but it was incredibly effective. It became an extension of the soldier, a reliable partner that would endure the harshest conditions right alongside them." The image of the Jeep, bouncing along a muddy track or parked in a bombed-out European village, is one of the most enduring symbols of Allied victory. The story of the Jeep and the Kübelwagen is a powerful lesson. It shows that in the crucible of total war, victory doesn't always go to the most technically perfect or sophisticated designs. It often goes to the side that can best leverage its industrial base to put reliable, durable, and sufficient equipment into the hands of its soldiers, and to do so on a massive scale. The German mechanics in the North African desert might have initially scoffed at the Jeep's simplicity, but they were witnessing the very philosophy that would outproduce and outlast their own masterful, but ultimately unsustainable, approach to engineering. The humble Jeep proved that sometimes quantity has a quality all its own. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this look into military history, be sure to like and subscribe for more.